This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so from the availability check, I thought some question was there. Samir asked some question, right? That do I need to define the availability in two different places, right? ATL. Right, this one, correct? So this and production scheduling profile has another availability check information. So either which ways is fine. Okay. So either it was in production scheduling profile or the order type that we can verify. So this part, right? So capacity planning, here you have the same thing. This finite scheduling check will be also available in the material master, not material master, actually master data of the work center. The profile, if you want, you can assign it here, or you can assign it in the availability check. That is also fine. So we have the same information here, right? So either which ways should be fine according to me. And this part, the material availability check, and this is for the partial quantity. This is not available here. So I told you one example. If I have requirement of 100 quantity for the raw materials, but I have only 80 available. Okay. So normally system will give me the missing part list pop-up. That means I do not have enough raw materials in my stock. But if you want to go ahead with available partial quantity, you can put a tick mark here. Then that 80 quantity will be considered, and for 20 you will not get the alert. Right. So I also informed that this information or this object, okay, clients will not say yes to, because they do not know what is the missing quantity if they do not get the alerts. So they will try to avoid this, and they will go with the complete stocks. If stocks are not there, let us get the errors, and then based upon the MRP run, the purchase requisitions will be created for the missing parts, whatever is available. So either which ways you can maintain, but it will be good to maintain in availability check. So we'll go with the next configuration, which will be my scheduling. Okay. So under the scheduling, I have defined scheduling parameters for the production orders. So we have copied one existing production scheduling parameters. We'll put our order type, which was ATL, and then we are giving a star mark to the production supervisor. So we have also, I believe, created a supervisor here. Atul, did we create for Atul? Okay. So this. So if I want, I can put the supervisor and my order type combination here. Okay. But what if I'm giving star? So if I say that Atul is on leave, okay, so this particular job will be paused for that particular day. So whatever responsibilities Atul has to take, then other person cannot do on his behalf. But if we give a star mark, that means any supervisor can take a decision on the scheduling part, if it is correct or not, to release the order or not. Then I can give a star, else I can give one dedicated guy, okay, who will be responsible. But what if he's on leave? Then that will be a challenge. So usually we go with a star in the project. And then we have detailed scheduling, right? So what is the detailed scheduling? We have two types of scheduling. One is basic scheduling and one is lead time scheduling. So the lead time scheduling can be also called as detailed scheduling for me. So when we are doing the detailed scheduling, system considers the time which is maintained in my routing. So when we go to the master data and when we create the routing, we will mention the time over there, right? So each parameter we discussed, standard value key. So I have set up time, machine time, labor time, right? And those timings, where are we maintaining? We are maintaining in the routing. If I'm doing a lead time scheduling through the MRP, those timings are also considered from the routing. Okay, if I'm doing only basic scheduling, then the routing time is excluded. It is not giving me the exact start date or end date. It is giving me a tentative dates that you can start on so and so date and you can finish on so and so date. But when we do a lead time scheduling, it gives me the accurate date that okay, you want to start on so and so date and then you can finish on so and so date. Okay, so that is called lead time, sorry, detailed scheduling. And here we have generate the capacity requirements. So when the scheduling happens, I told you we want to consider my routing timings. Along with that, it will see if your resources are also available or not. Capacity means, do I have enough machine hours? Do I have enough labor to finish my job? So those capacity requirements are also generated with my scheduling parameters. If I untick this, then those things will not be generated. Okay, and coming to here, adjust the scheduling, and I have adjust the dates. So we have four options here. I have the first option, which is adjust the basic date, which I told you. Adjust the dependent requirement date. Dependent requirement is what? My raw materials to the operation date, and then we have one to the order start date. So you'll not understand like this. If I open a routing, then it will give you more clarity. So this is my existing routing. Okay. The dates will not come over here. Let me open one order for this. Okay, go to the operations. And here you have, see, start date. One start date is in July, which is 29th of July. And then I have 23rd of August. And then I have 2nd of September. So these are my start dates for the operation. And when I'm saying that install the engine and chassis, install the windshield and tires, and then install the sunroof. So I have assigned those components to each and every operation. So when I'm doing this particular second operation, windshield and tires will be required. Okay, before 23rd 08, I do not want windshield and tires to be in my stock. Okay, by this date, I definitely want them because I'm going to perform this operation. This is exactly a layman language says. Okay, and this is my configuration here. Here it is saying that adjust the dependent requirements. So in this case, the dependent requirement will be windshield and tires to this particular date. So there is one date at the order start date. So this is my start date. Okay, but here it is saying requirement to the operation date, and the second option says to the order start date. So if I choose the second option here in the scheduling, then what will happen? All the materials, windshield, tires, engine, sunroof, everything has to be available by this particular date. But if I choose the operation dates, then these dates will be considered for my dependent requirements, provided you have attached or allocated the components to this particular operation. Okay, so these dates will be considered here. Before that, if it is not available, it is still fine, right? So this is what you can do from this particular adjust dates configuration. And then we have scheduling type. So if you see my order, I have backward scheduling selected here automatically. So if I select backward, it will pull backward here. If I give forward, my forward scheduling will automatically come here. So what is backward? What is forward? The forward says that I know my start date. Okay, when do I want to start my orders? I am aware of that, but I'm not aware of when I will finish it. Okay, so based upon the calculations, based upon your lead time scheduling, operation dates, availability of the components from the BOM, those things will be considered by the system and it will give you the end date. So this date will be proposed by the system. You give only start date. Okay. And if you are giving backward date, then you will give the end date. That means I know the ending date, but I don't know when to start my order to finish on so and so date. The system will again consider everything which I just mentioned, and it will give you one start date that you start on so and so date so that you can finish it off by this particular date. So system does that for you by calculating the inputs what we have given in the master data. Okay. So forward and backward, and then we use current date. So what is my current date? If I choose the current date as default in my scheduling parameters, every time my current date from the system, okay, will be picked up as my start date, and the end date will again be calculated. So this is what exactly I can do from the scheduling. So I told you about start in the past in the previous class as well, right? So if I'm giving blank here, that means my system will not consider any dates which is in the past. So if I'm giving 10 days here, for example, any number which I'm giving will be considered in number of days. So if I'm giving 10 days, then scheduling can consider 10 days in the past and give me the start date as well. But like I mentioned, we don't do that, start in the past. And if someone has maintained, it could be one of the issues for the client in the support environment, that why this is starting in the past. Then we need to check those places which I mentioned, okay, along with this. And then you have automatic scheduling checkmark here always. All right. Why this is required? Because if you give the date, okay, and you press enter, automatically scheduling will happen and propose you the end date, or if you're giving end date, automatically scheduling will happen and give you the start date. Okay, and this dates also considers our factory calendar. Say for example, in between these days I have Saturday and Sunday off according to my factory calendar, then the dates will also extend. It will exclude the Saturday and Sundays, and it will propose again from Monday. Okay. uh, One issue which we got in my project was that Saturday and Sunday was off for them. However, they wanted to schedule a special order for one of the clients on Saturday. Okay, usually they do not schedule anything on Saturdays. And this time when they're scheduling, automatically system is pushing to the next working day, which is Monday, right? So in this case, they raised an issue that I want to schedule something on Saturday and Sunday. Can you help us? So one thing what we can do is come and change the configuration, like remove this automatic scheduling. Then system will not automatically push to the next working day, which is not feasible. Okay, this configuration is not feasible in the production environment. You need to do, first of all, you need to do configuration, you need to prepare the unit test document, and then you need to get the sign-offs, get the approvals, then move the change to the production, right? These are the processes to move something to the production, which will definitely take a long time. So what is the alternative, or what is the workaround? So if we go to the control, here I have this automatic check mark, which is coming from my configuration. If I remove this and then I put Saturday and Sunday as my start date, okay, and end date also, system will not move the dates. So this was a something like a workaround which we gave to them rather than going and changing my configuration. So always think that if there is something which is very necessary and this is like one-time activity, do not change the configuration. Think about some alternatives that we can give to the client for that particular time only. Okay. So what is else? So this particular part is not required right now for us. Okay. Only these two parts are required, and this automatic scheduling is required. Okay. This will be common for all the implementations as well. Press enter and then save it in the transport. So the scheduling type, okay, so this backward scheduling, forward scheduling, current date, only the capacity. So how these are coming in that place, it is coming from here, and we have not seen that I'm configuring something on my own. Okay, that I'm doing forward as well, backward as well, because these are the radio buttons. I can choose either of these. I cannot choose multiple. Okay, so that's why there is no configuration required here. So formulas we have seen in the work center. During the work center discussion, we have seen the formulas. So under the operation, I will be having work centers assigned. Okay. Under the work center, we will be having a scheduling tab where we need formulas. So that particular formula you can define from here, or you can pick up any formula which is applicable for my scheduling from the existing formulas. Okay, so formulas can be defined in 2 or 3 different places, or you can define under the one node which is required. So under scheduling, you can define formula, or you can define in the work center also, and it will be applicable here. So it is not required that you define there and here again and again. No. And then we have the important configuration as schedule margin key. Sometimes this is also called as floats. Okay, in your interview questions, they will ask you, have you worked on schedule margin key? Or they will ask you, can you define me what is floats? So they both are same thing. Okay, there are no differences. If I go inside, here you can see the word float is coming up. So that's why sometimes people will have the habit of asking floats, or sometimes people will try to confuse you that what is schedule margin key and what is floats. They both are same thing. Okay. So exactly what is schedule margin key? Schedule margin key is called as a buffer time if I need something before production, or if I need something after production. Okay, so a buffer time could be for that I need to prepare something before I start my manufacturing activity. Okay, if I'm checking if my machines are working fine or not. Okay, if my raw materials are available or not, I'm doing some stock inventory checks. Then I will say that I want to start on so and so date, but I will not start with the operations. I need some buffer time of 2 days. Okay, then you can go ahead and define your buffer time here. So right now it is mentioned as 10, 1, 2, and 5. That means these are number of days, okay, which is required, and it will be added to your start and end date. If you assign this to the material master, ultimately it will come in my orders. Okay, if I go to my general tab, here it will be reflected the number of days. Okay, so it is a very simple configuration, just the number of days as a buffer time which you want before and after the production, and that can be defined in schedule margin key, which is also called as floats. Okay, so don't get
So
confused.
I think this enables us to give some extra time for the production activity, right?
Correct, correct.
Sir,
Okay.
could you
Okay.
please explain opening period and release period in short?
In this, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Sure. So we'll go with the standard definition. The number of days subtracted from the order start date to determine the creation date. The opening period can be used by the MRP controller as an extra time buffer. Okay, the opening period is only used in the backward scheduling. So as the definition says, the work days subtracted from the order start date. So when my order is created, so I have few dates available here in my order. If I go to dates and quantities, here I have the dates. Okay, start date is there, end date is there, and these dates will be defined and release date will be defined by my opening period. So order creation date will be my start date. Okay, and then when I'm releasing it, it will be becoming the releasing date, and then from that particular date your requisitions, your operation start dates, everything will be calculated. During the creation date, your operation dates are not calculated. Okay, and then we have the release period. This number of days in the release period for this particular order. Very simple, they are saying it's a number of working days in the release period of this order. That means if I'm giving the number of days, those will be added as well. So ultimately what will happen, this test 10 days will be added to my creation date. So if I'm trying to create on today's date, it will be adding those number of days, and then again the creation date will extend. Okay, float before production, again 1 day will be added to that. After production, so it will be added to the end date, and then if I release, from the release date it will be again added 5 days. So it will ultimately make it very long lead time for you to finish your particular order.
Thank you, sir.
Means is total the time was 10, 10, 1, 5, and 2. Means the start date will start at after 15 days. I think 16.
Right, so if you're giving this floats, then if you're choosing as 000, which is usually the case in the normal production, so here if you see my order, we are having 000. That means I
But
am not putting any buffer dates.
basically, where you using this float before production, after production, means any production order using this.
Depending upon the business requirements. So say for example, like I mentioned you, I'm doing some pre-activity before I start my manufacturing. Okay, then I want 2 days for those pre-activities. I could be doing the checks on the machine, I could be doing the stock inventory, right, if I have enough stock to start or not, or if I'm waiting for any vendors to supply me the product, and then I will start, so that I do not have any hiccups in between, right? Those things I will say these are my buffer time before my production. An after production example could be that you have produced your item, but it may take some time to dry up, right? If you have painted something and you say that, okay, one day I need to wait for my paint to settle up on that particular product, or if I need one day time to complete the packaging activity and then I can sell it off. Okay, if your packaging activity is not part of your operations, then you can add these buffer times.
Okay, okay. And one more thing, the basic date, that schedule and confirm that date we will going to see in production order, correct?
Can you repeat your question, Samir?
In production order, if you see the basic date is there, schedule date is there, and confirm date is there. So that date we will see in production order creation that time. Or
Right. So see, this confirmed date is something that you are doing by the confirmation. So when we are doing the execution, we will go ahead and look into these dates again.
okay,
Okay. So right now the discussion will go
we'll
on ending, but let us see during the execution.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this was my floats or schedule margin key. Definitely, this is part of our interview questions. And then we have confirmations. Okay, so we have defined confirmation parameters. So we'll copy this. We are using ATL, right? Okay, so once you have given your order type with the confirmation parameters, 1 minute. Okay, so under this confirmation parameters, what exactly you do? Here you do the checks. The very first thing which you will be doing is your checks. Okay, so what is a check required for operation? So we know the operation will be increasing in the tens, so 10, 20, 30 and 40, like that, right? If I'm jumping any operations, so this is my routing and I have 10, 20, 30, 40 and so on, I will be having operations. If I'm not confirming 10, I'm directly trying to jump on 20. Okay, do I want to keep a track or keep a check on that? Do I want to terminate when my operation sequence is not adhered to? Error if I am not following the operation sequence. Do I want to put as information or warning, or I do not want to do anything? Okay, so my operation sequence is not checked. That's all. Under delivery and over delivery, so we will be looking into the over delivery. Under delivery is something that you created the order for 1000 quantity, but you have delivered only 900 pieces. Okay, that is called under delivery for me. So when you are doing under delivery, do you again want to put as a warning or error that you have only delivered 900 pieces, you still have 100 pieces? Do you want to put anything which is a warning in that case? Okay, or if you do not want to keep a check, then you can just keep it, it is not checked. So usually under delivery, we do not keep a check. Over delivery, sometimes yes, and sometimes we need to allow the over delivery. Okay. So over delivery is what? I have created the order of 100 pieces, but I have delivered 110. Okay. Usually your system will not allow you to do the over delivery unless you have maintained few parameters. Okay. So those parameters I'll tell you during the material master creation, but without maintaining it, the over delivery will not be possible. Okay, if you just want to see, if I go to goods receipt, here is the tolerance that I need to maintain. If it is 0%, that means my over delivery is not allowed even one item above the order creation unit. Okay, not unit, the quantity. So if my order is 100 and here I have 0, then system will not allow me to do any over delivery. But if I have maintained any percentage, then it will allow me, or if I put a check mark on unlimited over delivery, then system will allow me to do over delivery. Okay, so where this is maintained during the material master creation in the work scheduling view, we maintain this. Or we can maintain, if again this is like a one-time activity, I can maintain in the production order itself. So results recording from the QM side. If okay, first of all, the operations can be also inspected. So we have three types of inspections. We have 01, which is for the raw materials. Okay, that means vendor is sending me a good, I'm doing a check on that. There is 03, which is in process inspection. Okay, so inspection type I'm telling you 03 is in process inspection. So if I'm doing that 03, and if I want to put a track, as in if there are no inspection results for that particular operation, do I want to put it as error? Okay, or do I want to message something, or if I want to not check at all, right? So then I can use that particular confirmation parameter. So when I'm confirming operation number 20, there was a results recording required here, but it is missing, then it will not allow me to save the confirmation. So that is a check. Okay. Under the HR update, this is required from the HR module, which is not required from our side. And then this proposed time units is something when we are going to the, okay, let me open you the screen. So CO11N is my transaction where I can go and confirm my orders. So this particular screen, okay, is getting filled by these options. So here I am giving proposed time units, right? So this units will be automatically proposed to me through the settings. Okay, so this is automatic. That means whatever I'm maintaining in the work center, whatever I'm giving in the defaults, automatically it will come here. If I'm saying hours, then it will overwrite and always give me in hours. Okay, if I say minutes, it will automatically give me in minutes. So this is the proposal what system gives me automatically. Now goods movement. So I don't know, we have spoken about backflush or not, because that's a material master activity. So I'll talk about that little later, but understand that we have an option where we can maintain the backflush. Okay. So I'll again repeat this when we are doing the material master creation. So remind me about this. Okay. This is one of the important settings. If I go to this individual entry tab, here the screen you can see partial confirmation is getting popped up automatically. So if you're choosing partial confirmation here, always it will come as partial confirmation first. If you're choosing this as final confirmation, always the final confirmation will come whenever you're going in this particular transaction. Okay. So this is controlled from the confirmation screen. If you want to put a clear open reservation check mark, always there will be a check mark here. Okay. So we'll put it as partial confirmation only. So what is a partial confirmation? What is a full confirmation? Okay. Or a final confirmation? If I have created the order of 100 quantity, but I want to do the confirmation twice, that means 50 quantity first and then again 50 quantity. So total will 100, but I want to do in two parts, then I need to choose partial confirmation. Okay. In this case, I cannot say this final confirmation because final confirmation will expect me to give 100 quantities in this particular screen. Yield is my output. So if I'm choosing partial confirmation, I can do 50 plus 50 two times. But if I'm choosing final confirmation and give 50, system will give me the error as the required quantity is lesser than what you are doing. Okay, so that's the partial and final confirmation. And error handling logs, this is very again important, sometimes also part of our interviews, that we spoke about availability check, right? So my availability check is checking for the missing part list or the components which are not having enough stock, right? Now my question is, if I'm having less stock and I'm doing confirmation, so system will give me one chance to fix those issues where I do not want to confirm if my stock is less. Okay. But sometimes business will say, no, I will not stop my production. I will go ahead with my manufacturing even there is no stock for the raw material. I will issue it little later when my vendor gives it. In that case, what we need to do, we need to put a check mark on the goods movement, because if we do not put a check mark here, there is a term or there is a transaction called koji. Okay, someone says koji, someone will say kogi. Okay, that transaction holds your goods movement if anything which is failed due to stock, due to missing storage location, and due to batch missing, those things will be captured in the kogi transaction, which we will also see during the execution. Okay, so if you do not put a check mark here, your movement or your goods will be failed. Okay, goods movement will be failed, and there will be no track where you can go ahead and see what failed, what quantity failed, why it failed. You will not be able to keep a track on those things. Okay, so that is one important thing or important check mark over here. And then if you do not want to get into the correction mode, okay, system customer says or the client says, uh, terminate my confirmations if there is issue with my storage location, issue with my batch missing, issue with my less stock. Okay, I do not want to save the goods movement during the confirmation, then we can put a check mark here. That means it will terminate that particular confirmation. It will not allow you to save with those issues. Okay, so sometimes in the interview they will ask you, how do you avoid things to go in the kogi? Okay, how can you control it? So you can put as a termination of incorrect goods movement. Similarly for the costing, so if there are cost issues, okay, if the costing is not done for a product and then cost is missing, you can put a check mark here as well, and you can put a termination of actual cost which is missing. Do not allow to save those confirmations, because ultimately the costing will be having issue. Okay, this particular part is required if you are using shifts. Okay, current shift, previous shift, and all those things, which is not required right now. And any customer specific fields, if you're maintaining any customer specific as in customization for the operation confirmation or header confirmation, then you can use this. Usually it does not come. And again here, this is all proposed. If you go to this particular screen, okay, you have quantities, you have activities, dates, HR data, you have quantities, you have activities, you have personal, which is HR data, and then the dates. Okay, so everything is getting proposed from these check marks. If you do not want to propose something in that particular screen, if the screen is very huge for you, okay, unnecessary things are being proposed, you can talk to the client which things you do not want, and you can put a untick on this. You can untick them. So these few things you can control from your confirmation parameters. Okay, and one in the confirmation parameters here, do I have that screen? So here you can also give some scrapping, right? So with the scraps, you can, because scrap is causing the variance. So say for example, you have 100 quantities as your production order, but out of that 5 quantities are scrap. Now you want to tell that why this is scrap, then you can give the reasons. So here you can give the reasons, maybe due to machine malfunction, you got the scrap, right? So under the 1710, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 reasons. So defective material, operating error, machine malfunction, and you can create your own variances or the reasons as well from this particular configuration. Okay, and define the reason for the variances. So customer says I have different reasons, okay, which we can use during confirmations. Then you can give uh, the variances over here. You can create new variances over here with new entries. Okay, this is done. And then we have printing control. So what is printing control? We have seen that we have printing check marks in the control key, right? So what exactly it will print, how it will print, and where it will print, right? So these questions are controlled from here. So what is print? So whatever form is assigned to that particular list will be printed in the backend. So for example, I have this pick list. We'll go with pick list. Pick list is components, okay, which are used in that particular operation. So I'll double click on forms, and here I have again the different standard SAP forms which are assigned here. These forms will never give you the confidence to go to the client and say you can use this, because this will not have the client name, right? Client will want his logo, his name on those forms. They will say that I do not want these fields, I want something else. The design may be changed. Then what exactly we need to do as a functional guy? As a functional guy, we will not make forms. Forms will be done by the technical team, okay, ABAPers. But we need to give the design. Okay, so we need to open an Excel file, take the requirement from the client during the workshop, as in what you want and where you want, and then that particular Excel file, okay, or the design what you have made it on Excel, you will pass it on to the ABAPer, okay, the technical team, and then they will analyze will it fit in the paper layout what they are choosing. If it is A4, will it fit here and there? If it is not fitting, then we may need to move few things, and we need to communicate to the client that here this field or this particular description will not fit. We may need to truncate it, okay, shorten it. So those things as a functional guy we need to do. Designing part will be done by the technical team. Okay, so this is LK01. Under this mostly we are using LG. Let me see if I can show you how it looks like. So this is how it will look like, okay, the standard ones, which will definitely not help. Company, the client will want logo here, okay. This is my material description. I cannot increase the size here. So start and end date of the order quantity, these things are getting printed over here. Okay. So there are so many unnecessary things which as a client even I do not want. I will say, okay, give me the component names, quantity, what is wanted during that particular order start date, end date is fine, plant. I don't want reservation number because that is not required for me. Okay. Status is I do not want, MRP controller I do not want. So we need to redesign this document, and that will be a PDF form which a ABAPer will give you. And that PDF form, we need to assign it here and remove this. Okay. So that's why this printing will be a necessary configuration, a necessary activity, definitely in all the implementation projects. In support projects, this would have been already done. So with this, I can say I'm good to start with my master data. Okay. So all the configurations required for the order starting, the kicking off my orders and doing the scheduling confirmations is done, and I can move to my master data. So I have given everyone a Fiori ID, right? So have you guys tried it off? Are you able to log in or not in the Fiori?
Yes, we
Sir,
log into.
sir, I was trying to log into the Fiori using the link, copying the link
Hmm.
and pasting it into the URL, but
Hmm.
I was continuously getting error message saying that it's a unsafe site. Please, I was
Understood.
getting that
Understood.
error.
Correct, correct. So you need to click on advanced, and then you can go ahead and click on proceed. That is fine. That is a normal thing.
Okay, 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 sure. And so one
Okay,
more
so
thing, I just wanted to confirm, like we say the RICEFs and W. Okay, so as you said, we as a consultant in regards to PP, we are less concerned about the forms and the workflows, right, sir?
forms we need to do, but like the designing part of that. Okay, so in the form RICEF document, definitely we need to give where we need to tell that what is getting printed. Okay, so not in the detail, because the coding part, this form will have entire coding or the designing part which will be done by them. But a small RICEF document which we need to give and say, this is what is my output, okay, what I want, and that will be input for the ABAPer. Because ABAPer, you will talk on Teams or you will talk on emails and you will share those draft design that you have prepared, but they will say for the documentation purpose, can you make a RICEF document, put this whatever discussions we had in that particular document, and where it will trigger from which functions it will trigger, right? Do you want to trigger it from release? Then those assignment part is us. Okay, but we need to mention that in the RICEF document. That's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So for others, if you're not aware with the term RICEF, so RICEF is the anything, an enhancement, any forms we do in real world is called RICEF. Okay, RICEFW. So let me see. RICEFW. Okay, so I forgot what R stands for. Can you, Vishal, can you
R
remind me?
stands for report.
Report,
R
report,
stands
report,
for report.
report. Interface
Report,
conversion,
conversion.
enhancement, forms and workflow.
Okay, so this is my things which I will be doing as a PP consultant. Interface, again, we will not be designing most of the interfaces, but for the interface, what is the input and output we need to give? Okay, conversion is something that yes, we will be doing, because if we are taking the data from the legacy system and we are putting it in the S4HANA and implementation migration, then conversion is us, okay, as a functional guy. Enhancement, of course, it will be us sometime, us from the front end, but the back end will be always the ABAPer team, because they will need to do the coding. We cannot do the coding until unless you know the coding. Okay, forms we have just discussed that we need to go ahead and get PDF forms created. It could be a form from the printing side, it could be a form from some other side, but from PP point of view, most probably this forms will be from production orders itself, because that's our activity. We don't do anything else. So workflow, if I want to trigger one requirement to the other. Okay, so workflows mostly in PP I have not seen. In QM it is there. Okay, in this is there, because when we create the purchase orders, okay, POs, there is a workflow for the approvals, that okay, first approval is done and then the approval will move to the manager, that you have to approve this amount for the vendor. Okay, or you need to approve this particular PO so that I can deliver to the vendor and then vendor can deliver back to us. So those are the workflows what I have seen in the purchase order. In the QM is there. From PP point of view, workflows I have not seen yet, until unless for the MRP run, if there is any failure and for which you want to trigger the email, that could be one workflow I can think of. Okay, but usually we do not deal with the workflows.
Basically, in
Reports,
which era,
yeah.
which developments PP guys are working in this RICEFW?
So interfaces, okay, it will be there,
Mhm.
because the client will be using some other interface as an MES system. Okay, in my project, it was the interface between the ADP and SAP system. So ADP is your third-party payroll generation team. Okay, so ADP here Hyderabad also we have one big office. They deal with the payroll. So whenever we are doing confirmations, right, we are saying this labor is working on so and so hours. So what they wanted is, instead of SAP HR module, they have implemented ADP. So this data, the confirmation data of the working hours for that particular labor, it will go to the ADP, and from there the days will be captured for how many days or how many hours he worked, and then his payroll will be generated. So that was one interface I have seen. Again, with MES system, manufacturing execution system, if they are having, then we need to work on the interfaces, that from SAP what data will flow there, and from there what data will come to SAP. So basically interface is always about output, or what is outgoing to the system, and what is coming in the SAP system, and what are the fields which are being used when the data is coming, and what are the fields we are sending out from the SAP, from which tables. Okay, that is part of interfaces.
Sir,
Rep-
like IDOC.
IDOC, yes. So IDOC will be used to map those fields, right? So in IDOC, what exactly we are saying, what fields are going out. So IDOC is a method, but interface is something that, yes, I need to map, club two systems, two requirements with SAP. It could be SAP, it could be SAP to non-SAP. Reports, yes, we do need to create some custom reports that are not available with standard SAP. Okay, then we can use the report RICEF. And yeah, so I think we have discussed most of these. So do we have time? No. So we'll start with the master data tomorrow. Okay, we'll start off with material master, and then work center, routing, BOM, and production version. And if we are able to complete that tomorrow, I'm planning to take a class on Saturday, because Monday we are going to take an off. Okay, so
So,
every
any major configuration changes between the different process industries or the repetitive industries, Harshal?
any major enhancement
Major changes or differences in the configuration
in the
for
repetitive.
different. Yeah, yeah, in repetitive or in process industries, because the thing which you have shown, this is for discrete, right?
Correct, correct. So
Yeah,
we
so
will be process industries after we complete discrete. So most of the time we are going to give in the discrete industry, because if you understand the concept from discrete industry, your process industry will
hmm.
be easier. Okay. So from
Okay,
configuration point of view, there are very minor changes, I would say. But from the master data point
okay,
of view, we have recipe, which is completely different than routing. Okay. Resource and work center, I would still say they are pretty same in maintenance,
hmm,
but recipe is something that is different. Okay. And
okay,
strategies which we are going to use, the runs which we are going to use, lot size what we are going to use, all is common for the process industry also. So we will be giving more time in discrete. So this will be your base. If you understand this,
okay,
process industries you can easily understand.
okay, okay. And what about repetitive?
Repetitive we will be doing towards the end. Okay. In
Okay,
the
okay,
repetitive, we will definitely see the REM profile. Okay. Repetitive manufacturing profile, what we want to create, and based on that, how do we execute the orders? Okay. There is the configuration is very less over there. The REM profile controls most of the things. So REM is one of the
okay,
configuration which holds most of the things.
okay, okay, okay.
Okay, so let us continue. So Saturday, I hope everyone is fine if we take, right? 1 hour.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
almost the same.
Yeah, Saturday is okay, I think, for me as well. 1 hour.